Hi guys, it's Carissa and I'm going to make a video for you today. This is pretty regularly requested and I'm surprised I actually haven't done one yet. But this video, as you can tell from the title, is about what I was eating when I conceived my daughter. And I do follow a ketogenic diet. I follow one very loosely. I do what people consider to be lazy keto, which I think you can get away with more when you have more to lose. And the closer you get to a goal weight, the more you have to sort of pay closer attention to your macros and possibly track them. So if you're new to it, if you need more information on that, there's plenty out there. You can email me at the email on this channel for a list of links of things that helped me. None of it is products you have to buy. It's just recommendations for how to go about the diet and for help if you need it. But I will tell you right now, before we even get started, do not fall for any information out there, no matter how convincing the arguments, that claims that you have to buy products for keto, special coffees or exogenous ketones. I'm not even sure I'm saying that properly, because you don't need it. I did this diet, lost almost 50 pounds, conceived my miracle baby that I was trying to conceive for a decade with just food. You really don't need to buy anything special. So that's my disclaimer. I don't mention it often enough because that stuff's not even on my radar, but I know that these companies are seeing the success rates among people who do this diet, and they're preying on you, on your hopes and fears and dreams and wishes, and they're trying to make you believe you need to spend money on these things that you do not need. So please keep that in mind. I'm gonna mention things that I was eating at the time, but if you want a little bit more about information about maybe specific products or things that I was really excited about at the time, you can watch my KetoBytes videos. I have a playlist of those. That's a series that I had done just to feature certain things on occasion. I didn't make very many of them. I think there's like 6 or 7, and I'm hoping to start them up again soon. But the secret really is on a ketogenic diet to try and eliminate processed foods and artificial sweeteners, in my opinion. Now, that may seem obvious. Fewer processed foods are better, but I think that it's easy to use them as a crutch, especially when you're first starting the diet. So just know that I was on the ketogenic diet for almost 2 years by the time I conceived my daughter. And I kind of used processed foods as a crutch to work my way into whole foods, mainly because I'm not a big meat eater. You don't have to eat any meat if you're on a ketogenic diet, and it is not high protein. It's a moderate protein, because extra protein that you don't use gets used as sugar. So it's basically, you might as well be eating more carbs if you eat too much protein. So keep that in mind. I wasn't tracking anything. I was just listening to my body, and I was just trying to put good things in it. I wasn't perfect. I had cheat days. I had cheat meals. So I want to stress all of this as much as I can. I think if you try too hard to jump into something that, that's too different from what you realistically will want to eat, you're setting yourself up to fail. Okay? So let's get down to the actual items, and some jerk in the comments can be like, oh, the real video started at 3 minutes and 57 seconds, so you're welcome. But what I would do every day was make sure I got about 3 to 4 liters of water. It's easy, in my opinion, especially if you're not a big water drinker, it's easy to picture it as this magical elixir. Like, think about what's something that can make me look younger and feel better and flush all the bad stuff out of my body and make me thinner and do all these wonderful things for me. It's like, well, that thing exists. It's water. So try and think of it as this magical thing. Listen to, look up white noise playlists of water fountains, like bamboo water fountains or rainfall, if you need to make yourself thirsty while you're working or whatever. I don't know, do what it takes. But for me, what helped is to use 1 liter size bottles and a straw, because a straw helps you suck that right down when you're driving. I used to go for water drives every now and then. If I was having a day where I was having a hard time getting my water in, I would just go for a little drive, maybe 20 minutes, take my water with me, drink it, come home. I know that might sound weird, but it's just something I did. I had time for it back then because I didn't have kids, right? So water, so important. And if it's easier for you to start the day by having half or a full liter before you even have any of your coffee, I know a lot of people think that that's the secret to success. Try it. I was drinking coffee. I was using heavy whipping cream in it because it tends to not have carrageenan or other additives to thicken it, but you can just use regular heavy cream. It just happens to be that the brands that are available to me, the heavy whipping cream has less extra stuff in it. So another thing I was doing was drinking a lot of this organic white mulberry tea. Sorry, my dog thinks that I might be opening a pet gift box. He's got high hopes. Sorry, buddy. You want to come sit with me? Sorry, buddy. I'll give you a treat when we're done. Come here. Come on. Come on. You're okay. Sorry, guys. This stuff is the claims are that it's a natural sugar balancer and it's naturally caffeine free. Why do I have such a hard time with that? Something about mulberry tea is supposed to help with your blood sugar levels. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do truly feel like whenever I have a little bit of this, even just like 8 ounces a day, I have better results, like better weight loss, and I don't know, it's really strange. So I don't know, maybe it's true, but this is what it is here. I think the brand is, I had a hard time looking. I found this on, it's Eon Foods, E-O-N Foods. I found it on Amazon because my grocery store stopped carrying it. But you get a lot. It's $10 for this little packet, but you get a lot. And what I would do is boil water and steep 4 or 5 bags at a time, and then put it in the refrigerator in a resealable container and drink it iced. And I'd add other things to it, you know, if I wanted to. So another thing that I was doing was trying to avoid artificial sweeteners. So I was really cut back on protein bars and things like Atkins chocolates or just sweetened chocolates, which could be a crutch for me. I'd like to say that I was good about not eating those things, but I do go through phases. I don't know if it had anything to do with my cycles. I wasn't paying close enough attention. But the closer I am into like really deep and efficient ketosis, and for the longer I do it for, the more that this tastes better to me than any of that stuff. So I remember at the time I was really focusing on trying to eat this if I had a sweet craving, even though these aren't very sweet. So the serving size for 1 square of this Ghirardelli chocolate, there's 1 gram of sugar, 1 gram of fiber. So it's 4 carbs, so it's 3 carbs for just 1 square, which some people might consider too much. To me, it was worth it. It felt like I was getting away with, you know, eating something that tasted really rich and decadent when it wasn't, and I wasn't putting a whole bunch of extra, you know, bad stuff. I wasn't having to worry about bathroom issues or any of that stuff. So sometimes I would put a little bit of peanut butter on it, but truthfully, I like it best plain. It's just bittersweet chocolate, 86% cacao. Great stuff. The other thing that I was doing was eating nuts. I prefer, my favorites are, I know that, you know, there are some that are arguably better than others, but I prefer roasted salted cashews and raw pecans, or pecans, however you say it. I was also eating a lot of eggs, but I do go through phases with eggs where I want them every day, and then sometimes I suddenly can't stomach them and don't want them for a few months. So, but I do remember I was making a lot of hard-boiled eggs at the time and turning those into deviled eggs, which if you don't feel like doing that, or if you don't need to do that to get them down, that's fine, but sometimes egg yolks gross me out, even when they're hard-boiled. I find that sometimes I'm just not in the mood for that. I was also eating a lot of salads, if you remember my videos at the time. And if you go back and watch them, I was talking an awful lot about this salad, which is from a sub shop, a local sub shop, and they would make any sub into a salad, supposedly. They would always give me trouble about it. But it was basically, you know, I started making my own version at home, which wasn't as good because I thought their deli turkey just tasted better, which is why I would go there for it. But it was pretty much just romaine lettuce, deli turkey, which was just like a roasted turkey. It wasn't anything fancy. It wasn't honey roasted or whatever. Hard-boiled eggs. I would use mayonnaise as a dressing, because a lot of dressings, I don't really like a lot of dressings. I just didn't want a lot of flavor. So I thought that was perfect. Just a little bit of that, a little bit of sub oil, which is usually just some herbs in like an olive oil base, I guess. I'm not even sure. And what else? I don't even think anything else. That was pretty much it. Maybe a little salt and pepper. It was great. It was perfect. I was eating a lot of those. And I'm not a big salad eater, but I was eating those for dinner. I would find that the less I ate, and this is still true today, that I have more success if I eat the bulk of my carbs and food in general in the morning, and then taper my portion sizes down to be smaller by the end of the day. And aside from the deli turkey, the only other meat that I was really eating was bacon. Occasionally for dinner, I would make 5 or 6 strips of bacon and just eat that. And I would find that was perfectly satisfying, and I wasn't even hungry. Like, I wouldn't even, the thought of saying that to somebody as a former, you know, bulk eater or binge eater, you know, sometimes I would try and go to bed as full as possible, and I can't believe I would eat like 6 pieces of pizza before bed or whatever. The thought of going to bed having only eaten 6 pieces of bacon almost sounds like punishment. Like I would have laid in bed going, what did I do to deserve this? I'm so hungry. But that's not true at all. I felt totally satisfied by that. And if I didn't, you know, I would have say something like this afterwards. But really, between the bacon and the water, it was like, it was fine, totally fine. The fats kept me full. As far as every day is concerned, and this is still the case for me now, I know that there are people who will find this frustrating, but let me tell you, that's why keto is so wonderful, because you can tailor it to you. If you prefer like a bunless cheeseburger, or if you really like steak or seafood, you can make as much of that stuff as you want. Just follow the rule. In my opinion, I think the best thing to do is follow the rule of eating whole foods and eating your smallest portion for dinner. If you're hungry, then listen to your body. Some days you're going to be hungrier. There are some days where, you know, based on your cycle or based on your stress levels or whatever, you might want more to eat. Just listen to yourself. And if you feel full and satisfied, or if you, I mean, don't even feel full, which is so great. If you just feel satisfied and you're not stuffed, that's great. That's like the goal that I was going for most of the time. So I know, like I said, it's frustrating to a lot of people, but I would just have little things here or there, little snacks. A lot of it was beverages. I was having my, one thing that definitely did have artificial sweetener, but I was drinking every day, was my potassium in a sports drink, which was a knockoff of Vitamin Water Zero. I've mentioned it many times. It's in my KetoBytes videos. That was a way that I consistently got a good amount of potassium in every day. I would add like a diet iced tea to it, or every now and then I would mix it with a diet soda, a diet Sunkist orange soda, something like that. So I would have those things every now and then, I guess in excess of what I was happy with, but because it wasn't in like my protein bars, or I wasn't eating, you know, Halo Top every day, which I don't think is bad. It's just for fertility and for improving my cycle and my egg quality and all of that. I think what really helped me was to just stick to whole foods. Now, I will tell you, I was having a little bit of a problem with cheese at the time. I wasn't off dairy, but I was having very little. I was just having the heavy whipping cream in my coffee, and I really can't think of any other dairy that I was actually consuming. Every now and then I would have some sharp cheddar, but it was just little tiny like pre-wrapped squares that I was buying for Mike, and I would sneak one every now and then. But the taste and smell of mozzarella disgusted me at the time. I just had eaten too much of it earlier on in my journey. So I don't know how much that mattered. Maybe it didn't matter at all, but I did find that right around the time I conceived, I was barely eating any dairy and barely eating any artificial sweeteners compared to at other points in my ketogenic experience. So I hope that's helpful to you. I know it seems pretty obvious, but even I get in the trap, and it's, you know, it creeps up slowly. I'll get into the trap of starting to, you know, say I'll eat something that's a little bit higher in carbs, or, you know, I get on a kick where I start eating Power Crunch bars, which I do. I love those. The red velvet flavor is amazing. But, you know, I think that if you get into a habit and you start eating things like that every day and it becomes part of your daily routine, that sort of can overall affect how your body operates. But don't feel like you can never have that stuff. Or if you have it, oh God, now I'm not going to ovulate because I ate, you know, X, Y, and Z. Don't stress, because stress is so bad for your body, and just kind of go with the flow. I was doing this with high hopes, but really my ultimate goal was to just be healthy and to be happy. I was like, hey, if I can't have a baby, at least I want to be hot. So I was trying to just lose as much weight as I could and look as good as I could and feel as good as I could. So just remember that those are also benefits and side effects of this, and don't, you know, have blinders on and feel like every little bit matters that much, because let me tell you, I was still, you know, going out to dinner with my family and eating whatever I wanted to once or twice a month, and I still got pregnant. So, you know, I'm not giving you permission to just go hog wild, but I'm also making sure that you, because I remember those days. I'm speaking from the heart. I know how it is. Just be cool. I don't know how else to put it. It's not the end of the world if you eat something processed, but that's what I was doing. If you have any other questions, let me know. Yeah. All right. Say bye, Vows. Gotta go get this dog a treat and a haircut. Bye.